Video 3 is all about the order of operations. Now, you've probably heard several different mnemonics to help you remember the order of operations throughout the years. You might have heard PEMDAS. You might have heard please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. We're going to introduce one that you may or may not have seen before, and that's going to be GEMS. And the reason we like GEMS just a little bit more than PEMDAS or please excuse my dear Aunt Sally is it helps us remember that multiplication and division are really supposed to be in the same step, and that addition and subtraction are really supposed to be in the same step. Alright, so what GEMS is going to stand for is, first off, the G is going to stand for grouping. And I'm going to try and write this as neat as possible. I know I don't have the neatest handwriting at all times, but I want to make sure that you guys can read this. And grouping is going to include anything like parentheses. And forgive me if I misspell this. I definitely am a math teacher, not an English teacher, so my spelling is not perfect. It could include brackets. Sometimes you might even see it include fraction bars. And there are some other different situations that you might see grouping of. But those are the main ones we'll kind of deal with in this class. The next thing is going to be exponents. E is going to stand for exponents. And those, of course, are the numbers that you see raised up and higher and a little bit smaller than your other numbers. And then you're going to do multiplication and division. Now notice that these are on the same level, multiplication and division. That means no matter which one of those two it is, if we are going from left to right, you're going to do it in that order. So it doesn't mean do all the multiplication and then do all the division. And that's where sometimes people get confused with PEMDAS and please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, is they think that that M comes first, it always has to be the first thing you do. When in reality, you were doing multiplication in the same step. The way you figure out which to do first and which to do second, you are following from left to right. And then the S is going to stand for subtraction and addition. And this is just like the multiplication and division step. Whichever one of these you come to first, moving left to right, is the one you're going to do first. It doesn't mean do all the subtraction first and then the addition, or do all the addition and then the subtraction. It means those are equal levels, they're on the same playing field. So you are just going to move from left to right, whichever order you encounter. So let's go ahead and look at example 4. So I have the quantity 3 minus 5 squared plus 20 divided by 2 minus 3 times 3. So the first thing I want to do is I want to do any grouping. So I do have a set of parentheses here that needs to be simplified first. So 3 minus 5 is going to give me a negative 2. I'm going to rewrite everything else the exact same. Negative 2 squared plus 20 divided by 2 minus 3 times 3. So I've checked off my grouping. The next thing I want to look at is exponents. And I do have a squared here, so I want to do that first. So negative 2 squared means I'm multiplying negative 2 times negative 2. And this is a place where a lot of people will make their mistakes. Remember that any time that you square a number, you should come out with a positive answer. Because what it's saying is you're taking that number and you're multiplying it times itself. So of course, if you take a positive number and multiply itself by itself, you're going to get a positive number. But when you take a negative number like negative 2 and you multiply it times itself, another negative 2, that's going to give you a positive answer. So this should give us a positive 4. So make sure you pay attention to that when you are squaring things. Anytime you square something, you should end up with a positive number. So we're going to have 4 plus 20 divided by 2 minus 3 times 3. We've taken care of all our exponents. So now what we're going to move to is our multiplication and division. And we're going to move from left to right. So the first thing that I'm going to run into that fits into that category is division with 20 divided by 2. 20 divided by 2 is going to give me 10. And then I'm going to subtract the 3 times 3. I have multiplication now, which is going to give me 9. So again, notice that even though the division came first, it's just whichever I run into left to right. So I do the division, and then I do the multiplication. So I have taken care of that step. The last one I have to do is my subtraction addition step, and then I will be done. So I just add and subtract from left to right. 4 plus 10 is 14, and 14 minus 9 is going to give me 5. So 5 would be my final answer. I've completed all 4 steps of the GEMS, and I have gotten my answer down to its most simple form. Alright, you have a couple U-Try problems to go ahead and attempt. Really make sure that you are paying attention to details on these type of problems. Make sure that you take the time to check your answers. Watch out for sign errors. Watch out for squaring negatives. Those are going to be the places that catch you up the most. Alright, once you've finished those 2 U-Try problems and have checked your answers, we'll see you in the last video for lesson 1. See you guys then.